So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. And today we have nutrition around the world. It's more like a platform to share healthy recipes and visiting different countries virtually. So we get to go on bi-weekly basis. And we will be chatting about food, personal experiences, favorite countries. So you are welcome to join the conversation. And please feel free to ask questions as we go on. My name is Rose. I work as a health promotion educator at Algonquin College. And a fun fact about myself, I love to travel and I love dancing, and specifically Zumba dancing. Tamara.
Yeah, for sure. So to introduce myself, I'm Rose's coworker. So I'm also a health promotion educator here at the college, and I'm really happy to be here with all of you guys and share this wonderful recipe. A little fact about myself is that I do love to travel, and I think that's kind of where this initiative sort of came out, is that, you know, that love for food as well for travel and kind of sharing that with people. So we're really happy to be here today. And another little fact about myself is that I love trying unknown menu items. So if I ever go to a restaurant, whether it be here or when traveling, and I don't know what a certain item is, usually I'll order that item. And sometimes it's a risk. Sometimes it'll be like the best thing I've ever tried. And then sometimes it's like, oh, maybe I won't order that again. But yeah, and I can pass that on to whoever wants to introduce themselves next.
I can go for the next. Hi everyone, my name is Xiwen Wang, and I'm the International Student Advisor at the International Education Center. And thank you so much for having me here today. I'm very excited. So one fun fact about me is that, well, I love traveling as well, and I'm a foodie, and especially I'm always keen on competing with who can eat more spicy food than me. So far, I haven't found anyone can compete with my spicy level yet. So very excited to have someone challenging me of eating spicy food.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I'd love to challenge you on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
So we're so happy today to have the executive chef Russell Weir from Algonquin Food Services. Chef Russell Weir brings enthusiasm, passion, and creativity to the kitchens at Algonquin College. Russell has competed nationally, receiving many awards and recognition for his passion and commitment to the culinary arts. In September 2011, Russell Weir was chosen as one of 5 Ottawa chefs to travel to New York City and cook at the prestigious James Beard House, promoting Ontario food and wine. His philosophy towards cooking relies on using the highest quality, sustainable ingredients sourced locally where possible. He also believes in a simple, honest approach to highlight those ingredients. Really impressive and remarkable background. Welcome, Chef Russell.
Hi, thanks very much for having me. After an introduction like that, I don't have any more fun facts to talk about, so you've said it all.
Cool, for sure. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to introduce the little destination quickly. So I don't know if you guys may have guessed, but we're going to be traveling to China today with this recipe. And so to introduce it a little bit, I have my background here, if you can see it. So I've changed my background here to the Yangtze River. It's a river that spans between Shanghai and Tibet. So both are really wonderful travel destinations, places I'd love to go. And this river is actually as long as the Great Wall of China. So it's the 3rd longest river in the world, the first one being the Nile. Rose, would you like to describe your background a little bit?
Yeah, so here I have Tianyi Library, which is the oldest private library located in Ningbo. And the name itself, it's linked to the element of water. So it was believed by providing a watery name would protect the library against fire damage. I love this structure and I love this background.
Yeah, very cool. Shwen, did you want to say something about your background? I noticed you had something
I
up.
didn't know that we have the protocol, but in that case, I would like to use this background to just give you a little. So actually, if you can see, right now I'm in this the door inside the door, it is the Temple of Heaven, which is located in Beijing, which is my hometown. So I definitely have a deeply rooted in there, and I love my hometown. So the Temple of Heaven is somewhere that in the Forbidden, but next to very close to the Forbidden City. If you ever heard of a Forbidden City.
Yeah.
So that's where our ancient emperors will go there to worship the sky and worship the nature, because we are based on the agriculture. Our culture is based on the agriculture in the ancient times. So the nature really influenced the prosperity of the people. So whenever the emperor wants to especially prefer rain, so that the crops can grow, they will come here to have a big ceremony and worships to worship the sky and to pray for another harvest year.
Wow. That's so cool, and that's such a beautiful place to have come from, having that being your hometown. I have heard a little bit about the Forbidden City. Would you be able to speak to that a bit to the other participants here? Because it seems really cool.
Yeah, the Forbidden City is almost like a kind of like a how to say it's a kingdom. So basically, we call it city is because of the size. But that one space is only allowed for the emperors and the ministers to enter. So it's if you think about the White House right now, and so but the size is maybe 10 times bigger than that. I believe that they have. I think they have like 42 rooms in the. Right now, because I didn't do my homework enough, but they have many rooms that it's almost like all the residents that and ministers under the emperor, they live in there. So they work in there, and then they live in there, and then their families living in there as well. So you can, as you know, that the emperors you may know that Chinese emperor, they always have lots of wives. So all their wives and their children living in there as well. So they definitely need to build this one place that is strictly confined by who can enter and who cannot enter, to protect the safety of the people who are living there, and also creating that hierarchy and the class between the civilian, the normal people, and the people who associate with the emperor. So the classes are quite distinct in the ancient time of China.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I think I was kind of looking at it when I was researching a bit, and I saw that there was like 9,000 rooms or something like that. So it's like,
yeah, it can be. Yeah, I visited the Forbidden City, but apparently I didn't memorize that because I wouldn't be able to visit all the rooms. Partly because some of the rooms are closed because of the restoration and also preservation. And another reason, fun fact, is that we all think and also believe after there are certain places are haunted. So even the gardeners in the Forbidden City, we were told that the reason that they're not open is because there are some haunting stories there. And so they are very, or you will be obsessed if you enter there, because we believe in certain feng shui and superstitions. So we don't open those to the public places. So, and also if you're visiting there for 1 day or even 2 days or 3 days, it's almost impossible for you to visit every single room and to see every single room because of its size.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thanks so much. Great. So I think we can get into the recipes now and hand it over. So we're going to share the screen so that people can see the ingredients. And then you can follow along with the introduction of recipes with Russell.
Okay there. So today we're going to do what we call General Tao's tofu and stir-fried greens with rice noodles. There's a kind of a mixed match of things. It's traditionally a Chinese recipe. However, we've got a little bit of Japan in there. I'm not sure if everybody's hearing that or not. So I'll introduce some of the ingredients that we're going to use. Obviously, the main ingredient today is tofu, and we're using an organic tofu. Tofu comes in various forms, but this is probably the most typical one. You can buy it in pretty much any grocery store. It's packed in a brine, and it's usually it's either soft, medium soft, firm, and extra firm. We normally use extra firm here simply because we're in an environment where food has to go from this kitchen, this is our kitchen, out to various different places before it gets to the customer. So we don't want it breaking down and turning into mush. We tend to generally use the extra firm tofu. Tofu is on its own pretty bland and pretty boring, so we normally like to marinate it. And that is the process of actually infusing some flavor into the tofu before we work with it. And we're going to do that today. But some of the other ingredients that we have, this is tamari. And what this is it's a soya sauce. It's a type of soya sauce. Unlike the Chinese type of soya sauce that we would normally use in a dish like this one is made with fermented soybean, and it's got no wheat in it, so it's gluten-free. In our environment around here, we have so many gluten-free and celiac type of students and customers that we tend to cook only with gluten-free sauce rather than the typical Chinese soy sauce. So it's also very flavorful and less sodium than the normal normal soy sauce.
So Russell, sorry to interrupt, but I think the voice is not so clear. Maybe just louder a little bit. Thank you so much.
Okay. So what I mentioned was this is Tamari. It is a soya sauce, but it's not your typical soya sauce. This one is made from fermented soybean. It's actually a byproduct of miso paste when they make miso paste. It's low in sodium, high in flavor, and it's gluten-free. Something that we use at Algonquin as often as possible so we don't have to make special meals for people that have gluten intolerance. Is that okay? Did you hear that?
Yeah, this is much better. Yeah.
We're also using pure sesame oil. Oftentimes we can get sesame oil that is blended with various other types of oils, and it's usually blended with, for lack of a better term, a cheaper kind of oil that we don't like to use around here. We like to stay Canadian, so we're going to blend this ourselves with some canola oil.
Mm-hmm.
And in this dish, in China, they might be tempted to use coconut sugar. We're not going to do that because we're in Canada. We're going to use maple syrup. Rice noodles. Very, very simple. Rice flour and water, which is steamed, cut into noodle size. They make them in all sizes and all shapes, and then it's dried. We're going to reconstitute this, and we're going to use this in our dish. And we have rice vinegar, very traditional Chinese vinegar. And we have a chili garlic sauce. I had in the recipe, if you're looking at the recipe, I had mentioned sambal, which is chili garlic sauce. And we didn't have any of that today. This is very acceptable. It's sriracha. We have fresh broccoli, fresh green onions, some Thai chilies, sesame seeds, fresh garlic, and cornstarch, not to mention fresh ginger, a very key ingredient. So while it looks like a lot of stuff, it's a lot of stuff actually that is being used in three different forms. I've organized all of these ingredients in 3 different batches, basically because that's how we would prepare this at work. We would start with these ingredients, which is going to create the marinade for the tofu. These ingredients are to create the stir-fry sauce itself. And these last ingredients are the actual stir-fry, which is the greens in that recipe. So at work at Algonquin, when we're preparing food for hundreds and thousands of people, this is how we work. We would create these areas, which is basically called mise en place or pre-preparation. And then when it comes time to serve the dish, it's very quickly and easily put together to serve fresh. Any questions on that?
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Actually, I love this recipe. It's tasty at the same time healthy. I've been doing some research on the ingredients, and I was amazed to see that tofu is really full of protein because it's made of soya sauce, so it's like plant-based protein. And I was also amazed to see that if you eat 10 ounces of tofu a day, it lowers your level of LDL, the bad cholesterol, by 5%. So really amazing ingredient that we have in this recipe.
Yeah.
So, Tamara,
yeah, and it's great that we've got some broccoli there too. Broccoli is really good for vitamin C. It has as much as an orange actually. It's really good for antioxidants and has tons of vitamins and minerals such as calcium, iron, potassium, and vitamin A, B6, B12, and K.
we also have ginger, which has many benefits. So like fighting germs, keeping your mouth healthy by keeping oral bacteria from growing. And I used to take it actually when I was pregnant because it calms the nausea. And it also soothes the sore muscles and much more benefits.
Awesome, that's so cool. We've also got some garlic, which is great. I'm sure we all love garlic and are happy to hear that it does have some health benefits as well related to the heart and blood conditions. So for high blood pressure or high levels of cholesterol, garlic is great for that, which is good because I put it so many cloves in everything that I cook.
Yeah, I also use the sesame seeds, which are a good resource of fibers, and it's also a plant-based protein.
Great. And then lastly, for the stir fry, we've got some rice noodles, which is a really good alternative to egg noodles. And it's also gluten-free. So for anyone with celiac disease, or sometimes gluten can be kind of hard to tolerate for some people, I use rice noodles so much. And I love how easy they are to cook. You know, they take like almost no time to cook. They're much faster than pasta, regular pastas. It's great.
And really today's plate is really great that it fits in Canada Food Guide. Like we can easily do half of our plate goes to veggies and the fruits, quarter goes to protein and preferably plant-based protein. And in today's recipe, we have so many plant-based protein, and then a quarter to carbs with the noodles. So it's really like a good, healthy plate.
Yeah.
So, yours, Chef Russell. Sorry, Tamara, do you want to mention something?
I was just going to mention, I love that you said that tamari sauce is made from miso paste because I actually had no idea. And I love miso paste. I use it so much. So it was really cool to see that in it.
Okay. I should actually qualify that. It's a byproduct of the process when they make miso.
Okay.
So if you wanted to put them side by side, they wouldn't look or taste anything like each other, but they are started out the same.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to start because otherwise we'll be here all day. It is a very quick recipe and a quick meal. That's actually why I enjoy and why I chose this actually is because number one, we get an awful lot of requests from our clients, our learners and our staff for Asian foods. And I like it because we can quickly put it together. It's colorful, it's packed full of flavor, and it's healthy, which is another request we often get. So what we would normally do when cook in an institutional environment, we want to pay attention to prioritization. So we want to cook things that take the longest. We want to start them first so that we can work on other things while those are working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rice noodle, and this is Unlike any other pasta, we're not going to boil this. We don't really have to cook it. As I mentioned, all it is rice flour and water, and it's been steamed and then dried. So what we really want to do is just reconstitute that to a pliable texture. We don't want to boil it, it'll become mush. And if we just soak it in cold water, we'll be here for 3 days waiting for it to work. So what we do is we bring some water, basically almost to a boil, very, very hot water, and we'll submerge the rice noodles in that water. We'll let it sit there for a while, and it'll do what we call bloom. It'll become pliable, it'll turn white, and it'll become ready to use in about 15 or 20 minutes. While that's doing that, we'll start doing all the other things that we talked about. So I have my water over here, and it's not boiling, but almost. So I'm just going to submerge the noodles. I'm going to move them around a little bit so that all the strands are going to get the benefit of the hot water. And I'm just going to cover it up. Like I said, probably 10, 15 minutes, it'll sit there and we'll be able to use it. So in the meantime, we'll prepare the tofu. And as I mentioned, trying to incorporate or infuse flavors into that tofu, this is the time that we're going to do that. As I mentioned before, the tofu comes in a brine, which is more or less a salty water type of deal. I'm going to discard that. We don't need it. And I'm going to take the tofu and I'm going to cut it into cubes. It can be cut into strips. It can be cut into large cubes, small cubes. It's really up to you. But for this dish, I'm going to cut it in about 3/4 inch cubes, which would resemble the size and shape of chicken, which is often associated with the general tap. Now, I don't want that brine to shield the tofu from the rest of the marinade. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pat it dry here and take off that. You can see some of it soaking into the cloth. So I'll do that. And I've pre-measured these ingredients. I think your recipe might be up on the screen. But we have the Tamari sauce. I'm going to just put that in here. My maple syrup, wonderful ingredient. Rice wine vinegar, or rice vinegar. Sesame oil. And the chili garlic paste, or sauce. There's 1 teaspoon. Did you ever see Walk with Yan? Probably not. But that was a teaspoon. I'm going to quickly give it a stir. And I'm going to add the tofu. And I mentioned that you should use a slotted spoon or fork or something, and that's just in case you still have any of that brine on there. We don't want it to go into the sauce or the marinade, sorry. So we'll just use that. Okay, there's your 10 ounces right there. 1 meal. So I'm going to make sure that we get it all coated. Carefully so I don't break it. Again, another reason for using the extra firm tofu. And we're going to place it in a plastic bag. This is probably the easiest method of coating it. We're going to coat it with the cornstarch. And we'll do it in a bag. So once again, slotted spoon so we don't take any excess liquid with us. So what we're going to do is we're going to add cornstarch and we're going to shake it around so that the cornstarch coats the tofu. And if there's too much of this liquid on there, it'll clump up and not give us a consistent texture. A couple of drops in there, but that should be okay. I have my cornstarch. Some people can mix this. You can mix this with tapioca starch. You can also mix it even with flour if you for a more heavier, crispier texture in the end. I'll add that, and then I'll leave that. Clean up my area here. And we'll start the stir-fry sauce. Garlic. The recipe says 2, but I found these a little bit small, so I give you 3. And if you just break them, it's easy to get the skins off. Sometimes people struggle with that.
Yeah, this is a nice method, actually. I have to start doing that.
I'll do that. And as we're going to chop it or mince it, it doesn't really matter if it breaks at this point. So better to get the skins off.
Mm.
While I'm at it, I like the feeling of that, so I'll just smash it all up.
So while we're doing the sauce, maybe we can also, I love the fun fact about China, that celebration of Chinese New Year lasts for 15 days. I didn't know that. It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's a lot of partying. My gosh.
Yes. So our lunar calendar that we have a 15 days that is all belong to Spring Festival. But technically, for people who we will give people 7 days of work during that festival, and then after the 8th, from the 8 days, people will go to work. But as traditionally, it's still considered, because we call it we call it 初一、初二、初三. So that's counted from the lunar calendar, and you may know that also our lunar calendar is different from our official calendar that we use. So each year, the Spring Festival, the date, it changes. Even for me, every single year, I have to check when is my Spring Festival start. Because can be the end of January, it can be the beginning or mid of the February. So it really depends on the year. So which that part is very interesting. And on the 5th day, that is the last day, and also is called that's the day that we have some special things that we eat as well, is the glutinous sticky rice ball that we always see that in the filling. Traditionally, we have a filling with a black sesame paste. But right now, with all the varieties, you can eat almost all the paste, like chocolate, durian flavor. That's a very famous one. And strawberry flavor. So whichever flavor that you like, and then the companies began to develop that for modern society.
Interesting. So,
sorry, just for everybody's information, I started working on the ginger now, which is another key component of the flavor part of this dish. And simply, I just took the ginger, and maybe you saw me, but I just peeled the skin off of it. That's not actually necessary. A lot of people eat it with the skin or cook it with the skin. We're taking it off, though.
That's interesting. I've never cooked it with the skin or tried it or even thought of trying it with the skin.
One thing is that in China that we never peel out the skin. We always eat with the skin because we believe that, we have a traditional medicine. So the skin of different fruits, including the ginger, we think they have a different function. So the ginger itself belongs to the nature of hot, so that it give you a lot of energy. But the thin layer give you the nature of cold. So that's a good combination when you eat together.
That's awesome. And that's kind of like a nutrition tip too, because I feel like sometimes having the skin on a lot of objects, like for example, or foods, for example, like potatoes, it's good to have the skins on, that kind of thing. So
Absolutely. So we'll continue with this sauce. I'm going to take the ginger that I just chopped up or minced and the garlic. We're going to put it in a bowl.
Mhm.
And the other measured ingredients that I have are, once again, maple syrup. Look at that. The Tamari sauce. Teaspoon of rice vinegar. Some water. And some cornstarch. Not sure if everybody knows, but cornstarch is a great thickener. It's unlike flour. It doesn't leave you with a thick or glutinous type of texture in the end. It'll actually give you a nice shiny consistency, but it has to come to a boil. And normally we mix cornstarch and full water together.
Oh, the sound? Chef Russell, the sound.
Okay, how's that?
This is better.
So normally we don't use, sorry, I'm getting lost here. We're not using flour at all. We're using cornstarch because cornstarch gives us a nice and shiny consistency in the end. In order to make it work though, it has to boil. And normally we would take cornstarch and water and we would mix it together and add that to some boiling liquid to get the thickening agent working. In this case, I've added everything together and we're going to bring it to a boil at the same time. And at that point, we're going to extract all those flavors from the garlic and the ginger, and it's all going to become one with that very good maple syrup. And you'll notice the color is kind of a milky, creamy kind of color, but you'll see the difference after it's boiled. You may notice that our stoves are bigger than our pots. That's because we cook for 10,000 people a day. It won't take very long, take a couple of seconds.
Gwen, I've heard that you can buy green bean flavored ice pops in China. Is this true?
It's true. It's very popular. It's one of the traditional one that we eat a lot. We eat a lot during the summer because we believe green bean traditionally we consider it as the nature of cool down and then help you to reduce the kind of hot and anxious feeling that the summer hot weather brings you. Because most of the places in China, no matter where you are, because we have a different distinct seasons in different places. Some places like Beijing, we have distinct seasons. Coldest can reach to nowadays -30. Hottest can be up to 42 in the summer. So that other places is also kind of similar, but then Beijing is more dry hot and dry cold. But in the southern, it's more like humid hot. For example, right now, if we're talking about, I just make Wuhan as an example. It's one of the hottest places in the summer. That place is kind of like very humid and hot in the summer, one of the hottest. So it's very different. And even in the winter, when the rest of the places are very cold, if you go to Hainan province or somewhere close to Hong Kong, their weather probably still 10 degrees, 15 in the winter. So that's where we have those different, as I mentioned, we are very agriculture based. So we derive from the plants and from the food we eat to make it as something medical usage according to the natures of the crops or the plants. So green bean is one of the things that is good for the summer.
Yeah, very cool. Russell, I noticed that you're taking the it on and off heat. Is there a reason for that?
Actually, because of the size of this burner, it's heating too fast, and I don't want that because it's cooked around the edges and not in the middle. So I'm just sort of removing it so it doesn't overcook around the edges. I wouldn't have to do that at all.
Okay, got it. I thought it was some kind of technique. I didn't know, some fancy technique.
It's actually the secret part that I'm not telling you. But you can see the consistency now is sticking enough nicely, and the color is turning shiny and a little browner. It's losing that milky sort of starchy color. It's basically ready now. So I'll shut that off. Now,
So I think the sound is,
I'm not sure.
yeah, this is.
technology, we're almost there.
Yeah. I'm wondering if the microphone is covered, possibly.
No, still? It's not.
It's not bad, but it's not as good as it was before.
Okay. I'll try to speak louder and more clearly.
Yeah, that's better.
Notice the rice noodles we got here. As I mentioned before, they've become pliable now and white. So they're essentially ready to use. I don't want them to get overcooked or mushy, so I'm going to take them out of the water now. And we'll strain them off.
One thing I found is very interesting is when I began to learn how to bake or some recipes that is a Western recipe, is they usually tell you how many grams of salt or how many ounces. All those measurements is quite accurate to reach that flavor. But when I was a child, if I look at the recipe, traditional Chinese recipe, always just tell you a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a handful of that. So it never accurate measurements that makes and I grow up with that kind of recipe. So when I cook something that my foreign friends like, they would ask me for a recipe, but I told them a
bit of that.
you just need to try because I don't know the proportion, what the proportions will be. So that is a very interesting cultural perspective that I'm still learning. So that I failed for my baking for the first time because I'm not following it very closely.
Yeah, that's true, because baking is more of a science, right? You need to have the exact measurements. But I feel like cooking is kind of an art in that way, in the sense that, you know, you're always sort of putting a little bit of this, you know, whatever you're feeling that day, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hi there. Okay, we're back. I'm going to prepare the greens. I continuously call them the stir fry, but on the recipe, that's basically the greens. And we have a broccoli, a small piece. This is actually called a broccoli crown because all the stem has all been removed. And the stem is good, so I'm not going to throw it away. But for this dish, I'm not going to use it. When it says to separate the broccoli, this is what I'm doing now. In large pieces. No dust, no shavings, because all I did was separate it. I didn't chop it. And now I'm going to blanch it. And I'm going to blanch it in water. So I have some water that's boiling over here. And you can see this broccoli here. It's nice and crisp and green. Now watch this. Watch that green. Hopefully you can see that, but it's getting very bright green color.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to soften it a little bit, and then we're going to remove it from the heat, and that's blanching. It won't be completely cooked, just blanched, nice and green, and a little bit softer. And while that's doing that, I'll use these green onions or scallions, and we'll cut them in large pieces. A lot of times we like to do this, but for this dish, we'll cut them into larger pieces because it's more or less a stir fry. Put that back into the bowl. We'll add the blanched broccoli to that, and then we'll be ready to cook that. In the meantime, go back to the tofu. I have my sesame oil mixed with the canola oil. Put some in the pan. Go back to the tofu in the bag. Pour that into the bowl. Once again, so I don't get too much excess flour bits, or sorry, starch bits like that. Does anybody know the definition of sauté? That's what I'm doing right now. Sauté, the actual definition is to cook quickly and lightly in a minimal amount of fat. So that would be the difference between frying and sautéing. You don't see very much fat there, but we're cooking it quickly and we're not saturating it. So that would be the lightly part.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. And that must be a healthy way to cook as well. Because I thought sauteing just kind of meant, you know, to jump or something.
No. It's got to do with the minimal amount of fat. And you, incidentally, you may have noticed that I did put the oil in the pan a couple of minutes before I actually put the tofu in there. It's very, very important when you're sauteing something that you get the pan and the fat, in this case sesame oil, has to be very hot before you put your cold ingredients in there. If you put your cold ingredients, if it was chicken or meat or something of that description, and you put it into a cold pan or a lukewarm pan and slowly heated it up, what's going to happen is that heat is going to suck all the juice and all the nutrients out of that dish, and you're going to actually end up boiling it in its own juices, which is nowhere near as good as putting a crisp sauteed crust on the outside of it, which then allows the juices inside to move around and jump around and get hot, but stay inside. So that's a big thing there.
Yeah, that's a great tip. That's something that I think I haven't done as much, because I think I get like impatient, especially with omelets and stuff. I need to just wait and let it heat up. And we're just getting a question. Do you have any substitutes for sesame oil?
Well, absolutely. There's a lot of different substitutes. But then we run the risk of getting into other sensitivities and allergies. But almond oil, walnut oil, avocado oil is very good. Both sesame oil and avocado oil are very heat resistant. They have a high breaking point, so you can get them very, very hot before the oil actually breaks down, which is definitely not something you want to do, because when the oil breaks down, then it'll penetrate into the food that you're cooking, and you'll end up with that flavor in your food that you don't want, as well as the fatty part that you don't really want either. So I would recommend, if you couldn't use sesame oil, to use an avocado oil. It's very neutral, but you want to adjust at that point the ginger garlic component in order to keep your flavors up.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great. I actually just recently learned that too, with avocado oil, because I was like cooking with olive oil for the longest time, and I was like, there's something wrong, there's something off. And then now I've started with avocado oil. I was like, this is much better. Olive oil is so much better at the end.
Yes, olive oil is also it's got a very distinct flavor. It tastes like olives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you don't use a lot of olives, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you use a lot of olives in Asian cuisine.
No, well, I never eat olives before I began to try pizza.
Oh,
Ah,
So I'm still not used to it. The flavor of it. It's a little bit is fine, but not a lot.
that's funny. So do you not like olives, like either black or green or?
No, not really. Maybe right now, the younger generation, 2020, they are more exposed. But when I was growing up, not so much. I remember like the first time when I was like primary school or something, the first McDonald's was open in Beijing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I still have those times. But then later on, there are more and more Western factors coming in, but
Cool.
not before like my 5 years before, I think. Because we are only open to the world in 1987. That's the open to the world policy.
I just been working with some Thai chilies, some red Thai chilies. These are coming typically in either red or green. They're both equally as hot as the other one. So when we use these, or when I use them, I like to leave them cut only in half. I don't want to hide them in there because some people just can't really take the heat. They would like the heat mixed through the dish, but to bite on a little piece of this might be too much for them. So I leave them big enough that people can actually remove them before they eat the dish. Maybe because of the school environment, but it also adds an element of color and freshness to the dish as well. So I'm going to add this into my stir fry. I've cut them in half only, as I mentioned. I have my green onions and my blanched broccoli and my nice hot pan. And once again, my sesame canola mix that we mixed ourselves because we don't trust the other retailers to do that. If the sound is good, I'm sure you can hear this starting to sizzle a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll add now the scallions and the chilies because they're raw.
Yeah, I love that noise. Russell, can you find those Thai chilies in just about any grocery store?
Yeah, normally the Loblaw superstores will have them. They usually have quite an assortment of various chilies. We also shop at TNT here in Ottawa, and there's TNTs in most of the major cities. And I've also been noticing that some of the Walmarts have been very careful about what they carry based on where they are. So in a lot of neighborhoods in the city, if there's an predominantly Asian community, you'll find a lot of Asian foods in that Walmart. It's something that they're doing that's new, but I think it's really fantastic. But yes, they're readily available.
I found Superstore in Chinatown has a lot of those ingredients if you want.
It is starting to cook now. My broccoli, I forgot to mention to you that after blanching it in the water and bringing out that brilliant green, then we cool it. And that's a process that's called crisping. So we take it right out of the boiling water and we put it into ice water. And what that does is it stops the cooking. So it won't sit there warm and turning brown on you while you're doing other things or getting too soft. So we crisp it. It remains brilliantly green. I'm going to saute them all together. And the reason I'm doing that is because in the green onions, we have sugar, natural sugar. And we're starting to caramelize that sugar right now. And I like to get that all coated over top of the broccoli and the chilies and everything. So it gives it a more rounded flavor. So I'm going to add the pre-browned tofu that we get. We're going to stir fry them together. And then add that amazing sauce. Can you smell that? It smells fantastic.
I'm amazed that you can do this with a flatter pan, because we always have a little higher one for our cooking. That's what we're used to. So when I came to Canada in the first place, before I go to Chinatown, I only found this smaller flat pan. I thought, oh, how can I cook it? Stir fry. Because everything would go out, because I'm not that skilled.
Yeah, we have also a comment from Christina. Grapeseed oil is very good and available in most stores. Thank you, Christina, for this comment. And we have 6 minutes left, Chef Russell. So we'll focus on the recipe. Yeah.
No problem there.
Okay.
Just about done.
This is one of those dishes that is so fast, it's really hard to make these last half an hour.
It looks great. I'm definitely getting hungry.
And I'm a big fan of the saying, show me the money. So I like to take all the good parts and make them visible. So get some of that color out in the top. Make sure that the tofu's on the top and you have a 50% tofu, 50% greens. And then, as I mentioned in the recipe, you can garnish with sesame seeds. And we talked about black or white sesame seeds. In this case, they're white. And we gave them a little toasting for flavor. And lastly, we have to make sure it's a clean dish. And there you have it. That's General Tao tofu with rice noodles and stir-fried greens.
Amazing. What a nice presentation, Russell.
Well, we can make it a little nicer. Got a little bit of basil. We use an Asian basil. It's typically called Thai basil or purple basil. And then just add that there.
Wow. Yeah, amazing.
Not bad, huh?
Impressive.
Whoever gets to enjoy that is very lucky.
That'll be the cameraman.
So we have a question. Which oil is the most healthy and has the highest heat resistance for stir fry?
I believe that sesame oil fits that bill. It has a very high heat resistance. It's extremely flavorful, and the flavor of sesame or toasted sesame lends itself extremely well to all Asian foods, which would encompass most stir fries.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I'll just add to that. If you don't want to use sesame oil for whatever reason, and you don't have avocado oil, it just occurred to me that sunflower oil is another one that's relatively neutral in flavor, but has a very high burn capacity and no trans fats.
Great.
Thank you so much. Kathy says, Chef, I really miss your cooking. And Christy, thank you for the fantastic session. I think, yeah, it's been so great. We were so happy. We learned so much. I'll give a final word to Siwen and Russell if you want to add anything by the end before we close.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest thing that's on my mind today is that we really look forward to welcoming everybody back to Algonquin College here so that we can cook dishes like this and anything else that we come up with during these strange times that we're in right now. Be safe and be healthy, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to closing. Thank you everyone for the invitation. And this is, again, let me experience the blend, the beauty of the cultural combination. This is a fantastic way to learn, and we learn through, learn about each other's culture through food. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. for joining us in this episode. And as I said, we'll come together on bi-weekly basis with different country every episode. And if you want to learn more about our events, just go to Algonquin SSS page. And we also, if you want to reach to us at any time, you can email us at hshealthypromotion@algonquincollege.com. Yeah, thank you so much. This was so great. See you soon.
Great. Thanks so much, guys. See you.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Thank you, Chef Russ.